Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. And we will immediately leave it to the chief.
Okay. Hi, Bill. So we do have a guest in the room. It's Bill Zidell.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so this meeting is called, this is our annual meeting for budget workshop. And it's for the next year. So this is budget workshop for 2024. And we're going to go right into it. Patty and I got together earlier and we were able to sit down, go over what we've done in 2023 and readjust for expenditures in 2024. Patty, do you have anything to say before we get going?
I do not have anything to add at this time. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, so she'll be brought in, I'm sure. It's the same format as we've had before. So bear with me. I don't have a duplicate screen on my computer for some reason. So I'm having to go to the big screen and twist my head around and look. So I apologize for that. Okay, everybody should be able to see this. Yeah. Can everybody see the entire, I'll enlarge it here.
Yes, can see.
Yep. So that's better for everybody?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to minimize that so we can get to here. Okay, so I'm gonna stand up and do this so I don't have to, I'll have to turn around here. Is that the, I'm gonna make sure that's the whole document.
Yeah, it's got, yeah. And what's the last page?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the.
So Patty, if anything, obviously I'll go down to the bottom here first. Is that we never know what new construction is going to be. So we estimate it at around $3,000. That's been a common theme for us for many, many years. It's plus or minus that. And we don't get those numbers until after this budgetary process is approved by the commission. So that's the bottom below here. And then the uncollected taxes of the previous year, we never know what those are going to be either. And anything that we get in addition to what's not in the budget that we approve automatically will be placed into capital facility funds, so capital funds. So we don't add those. Let's say we get $40,000 in uncollected taxes or back taxes. We don't put that into our operational budget for the year. That goes into capital savings. All right, to start out this year, so by law, we can take our levy from last year plus 1%. And this year, the 1% is actually only going to equal 0.558. So the 1%, you can see the 1% over here. It's never really a 1%. The 1% is over on the left-hand side of the screen for everybody looking. And it says levy increase, that's the 1% we're allowed to take by law. But due to other calculations and other things that really aren't fully explained, is everybody still there?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I heard a beep on my computer, so I thought I lost everybody. It's going to be a 0.55%, 851, change. So that only increases our amount this year. If it was a true 1%, we should be getting like $6,400, right? If it was a true 1%, but we're only going to be getting $3,621 as an increase to our legally, a legal increase to our budget. At this point, that's allowed by law. So the 2023 levy was $648,449.98 plus the $3,621. That'll give us a new budget of $652,071.66. Okay, so again, that's the $648,449, which was our last year's levy, plus our 0.55%, which is the quote unquote 1%, which will give us an increase of $3,621.68. That equals $652,071.66. So, then we add in the other revenue that's potential to come into the district. Some of it is, guaranteed, some of it is not. So Patty, would you, I don't have that in front of me, would you go over, the other revenue area, please, that we gain?
Yes. That $29,518 consists of the Point Roberts, the hospital district annual rent, and a small amount for the park in Point Roberts for fire protection services, interest on investments, and then an estimated revenue for burn permit sales each year. So with those four items combined, that adds up to the $29,518. When added to the 2024 proposed levy, gives us projected funding for 2024 of $681,589.66, as noted on the screen there.
So again, to review that, 652,071, I guess I can bring it up. Let's see if I can show people. Okay. So the other revenue is what, sorry, Patty, I didn't think I thought I had to go to another sheet, but.
Oh, that's okay.
PR Public Hospital District, is gonna be bringing in 19,718 for the rent. And then we have the other areas here. This needs to be updated. Let me go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pull up the middle tab. Yeah, only because I need to change the top of that to 24. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll go over this in depth, but we're going over the additional income, and the additional income, the increase from this year was 18,000 for the rent. Next year is going to be 19,000. We took that from the CPI. Okay. And, I think that was a 5% increase.
Correct. Yes,
5%
estimated.
increase on that.
Mhm.
Then the fire service contract fees, that's the Whatcom County Parks. We protect their lands. They give us a huge amount of $300 to help protect their land. We estimate investment interest and then burn permit sales of 5,000. We estimate those. Those are plus or minus. I never put in ambulance transport fees. Because that's a great unknown, and to overestimate that would be very bad. And we never put in grant revenue because grants are a hope. And if we get it, then we have it. But otherwise, it's not constructive to depend on acquiring a grant. So at that point, back to this, we have the 681,589. I'll be going over the 2024 budget. The 2024 budget, when we made increases in certain areas that we saw were well over this year and projected needs for next year, we came up with a budget of 693,491, which puts us in the negative $11,901.34. So right now, our budget going into 2024 would not substantiate our operational expense needs. Let me go over the 2024 budget. So Commissioner Katz has come in. Linda?
Thank you.
Yeah. So Commissioner Katz is here now. Okay, does anybody have any questions on this chart? So again, to review it real quick, our levy increase that we're legally able to take, the law states a 1%, but due to other calculations the county makes, potentially the state. Patty, do you know where those inconsistencies come from?
You know, I wish I had the ability to explain that. Let me look at one item here. I know that you don't have a copy of this to pull up on the screen. But the form that I received from Kathy from Whatcom County last year's document for the IPD inflation percentage for 2023 taxes, that they list that just for our informational purposes, but I know it has something to do with the calculation. Last year, that was 6.457%. And reviewing again last year, our 1% ended up being 0.94702. Now, when we compare that to this year's document that I received for her, the IPD inflation percentage for 2024 is listed at 3.67%. So it's a lot lower and almost by half, and which hence makes our 1% increase also lower to the 0.55851.
Okay.
But I would need to talk to her more in depth to be able to explain it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So this year, due to inflation and other calculations that the county in particular makes based off of economic values, our 1% is actually a 0.55. And that's only going to get us a $3,600 increase to our last year's budget, which was $648,449. So if you add those two together, it brings us up to a legal attainable taxable revenue of $652,071.66. Now the other revenue I also went over. I can bring that back up real quick. So the other revenue is the public hospital district rents. Since they rent part of our building, that's going to be $19,718. And then burn contract with the Parks District, and then burn permits and interest on investments are approximated. So those are very subjective, but it's an average of what we usually bring in those areas. So that brings us to a total projected 2024 funding of $681,589.66. Going over the budget and our increase in costs and everything else from 2023, we came up with a need of $693,491 to have operational security of the district for 2024. Since our operational budget is more than what we'll be bringing in the funding, we will have to come up and find an additional basically $12,000 to take out of our operational fund. So we come up to a net zero or zero sum budget. So right now we're in the hole. If I had to do, everything in that $693,000, which, that's why we set the budget, is because those expenses are projected, right? And we may or may not have that realization, but it is projected. Patty and I are going to have to sit back down and come up with $12,000 out of the budget that we fortified in order to not overspend that $681,000.
Is there any potential relief as a function of the other revenue, which does not include previous years uncollected taxes?
Yeah, so again, any of that money that comes in after this budget is set goes into capital.
Just goes up, it would offset it, but is it that significant that it would offset a difference of delta of $12,000?
It's very subjective. We could have uncollected taxes of $10,000. We could have uncollected taxes of $30,000.
Wow.
So if the budget was to be changed after it is set, then a resolution would have to be done by the commission in order to readjust that budget.
But at least if there was any relief would go into the capital fund.
Yeah, and then
any difference.
Yeah, and then we start relying on the what ifs.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's what you're showing.
Yeah, so
That's all.
to rely on unpaid taxes to overcome budget deficits is not a positive
No, that's-
direction to take.
It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. Okay.
So this is where we're at this point. Our next meeting obviously is going to be on the 10th of November at 4 p.m. And that'll be the finalization of the budget. We will I will go over what the budget comparison that we currently have. And you'll see where the increases and decreases are within that budget. And then Patty and I'll have to get together, depending on what happens with the vote on the levy. Patty and I will get together on the 9th, most likely, and revisit the budget for 2024 with the new levy in place or without the new levy in place, depending on how the voting goes. Okay, and then if it's without the new levy, then we'll have to come up with $12,000 out of our divisional budgets to put back into to take out of our operational fund to put back into our budget, so we come out neutral on it. Okay, anybody online that I can't see right now have any questions on that? Okay. Is this big enough for everybody? Everybody online can see this?
Yeah, could
Hello?
be bigger. That's good.
Sorry. Okay, so we'll concentrate on the 2024. So we'll concentrate on that white line over there. And so again, the 2023 is last year's budget. We're working off of that. We discussed how we came up with the 652,000, which is last year's budget of the 648 plus the 3,600 and 1%. Comes to the $652,000. We have the additional funding that we add in, and some of that is projected. So it could be plus or minus, but it's normally projected low, especially for the burn permit sales and interest on investments. It's averaged pretty close. That brings us to an operational budget of $681,589.66. Again, I'm on the right. The white column is where I'm at for those that'll be watching this potentially later. So legislative regular meetings, because of the increase that the commissioners will be able to take for 157 per meeting. That increased $1,548 from 4,100 to 5,600. We had special meetings. We added the $213 is the 1,200 to 1,400. Patty, can you explain that? The increase?
Yes, that increase is due to the commissioners being able to go from $128 per meeting to $157 per the proposed amount.
So we averaged 3 meetings, right?
Yes, 3 meetings per commissioner, so a total of 9 meetings in that special meetings in that line item.
Yeah, so that's special meetings. We're averaging 36 meetings for the regular meetings. Now, how did we come up with 36? We have 12 meetings and we have 3 commissioners.
12 meetings a year times 3 board members, yes.
Okay, so that's where we get the $5,600, right? Because it's 36 meetings times 157. So just so the general public can understand where we're getting these figures. We didn't do anything with travel costs with our commissioners wanting to go to the Washington Fire Commissioners Association meetings or participate in that. We had to increase the FICA medical for the commissioners because their salary has gone up as well. The secretary, we have increased $1,550. We took Linda $200 to $250 a meeting. I don't think Linda or Patty have had a raise in a couple years, if I remember. So again, this has to be approved, by the commission, but these are the line items to look at. So anything that's zeroed out means we didn't change it because it stayed within our budget for the previous year. Does that make sense? Okay. So we took Linda from $200 to $250 a meeting. The FICA medical had to go up because of that. The audit, we're going to have 0 because so we were able to add $10,000 back into this budget, and even the $10,000 didn't overcome the $11,000 deficit we're showing at this point. So we made that line item 0, so that was able to come back in. Legal, we stayed. I think legal this year is around $9,000. is what we spent on legal, but you have to understand there was a tremendous amount of work for the levy and the special meetings that we had that they participated in and everything else. So on an average year, though, we're spending about $5,000 on legal guidance. Advertising, we kept that the same. Insurance, we increased that by 3%, I believe, and that's up to $45,000 next year. Will be the insurance payment that we make at the end of the year. So that increased by 3,000. Professional organizational dues, I took that up 500 because any organizations that we're participating in, they're all increasing their fees, right, to overcome their employment increases and everything else. So going up there, election charges. Does anybody come up for election in 2024?
No.
Because Norman is up this year. Pat, do you
Right.
come up in 2024?
I believe so.
So it might be Pat, Commissioner Harper might come up for 20. They're usually offset by 2 years. So Commissioner Harper may come up in 2024. So we left that at 1,000 for the election charges. So that division totals $67,155. And that was a decrease from the previous year because most of that came from the audit of $10,000. Okay. So the administrative division took my salary up to 72,000. Again, this has to be approved. That's about a 5% increase. I have not had an increase this year as well. So that's about a 5% increase, and that'll have to be approved by the commission. So that is just stated as 72,000. Assistant Chief Shields went up to 42,000. That's a 3% increase. Again, Chief Shields is a part-time employee with the district, not a full-time employee. And finance manager, we took Patty from 13,500 up to 15,000, which is a $1,400 increase. Medical insurance reimbursement stayed, everything stayed. We decreased FICA medical, assistant chief and stuff because we looked at last year's payment and the 8,500 seemed to be high. So we actually decreased that and saved $150 there. FICA manager for the finance manager, it went up 110 because their salary has increased if approved by the commission. All the way down to computer software. Computer software is becoming more expensive. So everything that we're doing with all of our platforms and stuff like that, and the computer software that we have to purchase throughout the year, that's going up. So we increased that by 1,500. Professional services had to go up by 2,000. Professional services are our webmasters who work on our web. And also the supervising physician salary, which last year was 5,000 and most likely will go up this year as well. So that's very low. And we're blessed that our supervising physician is willing to oversee this agency for that amount of money. District 7 pays, this is, I'll just give you an example. District 7 pays $2,500 a month, I believe, or more, for
$2,700.
$2,700 a month for
Yes.
their supervising physician to oversee our group, our medical group there, of our EMTs and our paramedics. So $2,700 a month. Our supervising physician is doing it for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year. So you need to understand the benefits of having a medical doctor on within this agency. And there's other things that go into that professional, where am I at? Where am I at? I'm down.
Professional services.
Yeah, the professional services. So Systems Design is our billing company. They bill, do you know what it is, Patty? Like $40 a call.
Oh, let me check on that here. I think I have a recent one.
For every call that we transport, that we bill, they charge us a fee to bill. you
$35
$35.
plus postage.
So I said 40, so I'm probably pretty close.
Yeah.
So $40 per ambulance transport that's billed. We, on average, we have like 30 transports a year that we take down to the county to Bellingham ourselves, that we drive from here to Bellingham. That airlift doesn't take, that we don't rendezvous with another agency and they take them all the way down. So on average, we have that 30. It's probably minus a little bit of the 30, but so 30 times 40, gives us a raw number. But if we have 40 some transports, that we gave us ourselves a little room there with transports. Now, if the levy goes through, the idea would be that we wouldn't charge for any of the ambulance transports that we would take down to the hospital. That would be covered underneath the levy. Therefore, our billing company would not, this would be a plus for us at that point. We wouldn't need our billing company anymore at that, unless there's something that I'm not understanding that we would still need them for. But if we're not billing anything, billing insurance or sending them, then they wouldn't be charging us for that. So that's a hope if we get the new levy passed. Background checks. I have to do background checks on everybody, and it's around 10 to 12 bucks. And that's through Washington State Patrol. We do the background checks just to make sure that the people we're hiring don't have records or, aren't felons, aren't somebody that we can't hire underneath the Department of Health guidelines, because they can't be a felon or anything like that under DOH. So postage averaged out, cellular telephone, we're keeping in track with that. I mean, we're doing pretty good there because we have 2 cell phones underneath the district, one for the officers and one for the on-duty EMT. So they have a phone with them. Telephone, internet, that comes through Whidbey. Any type of shipping costs that we have throughout the years. FAR's radio system is the maintenance contract that we have with FAR's. And 3,200 is right at what we're going to be. That might have to be adjusted, Patty. Did I send you that? Did I forward that to you, our costs?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Thank you. I
I think
have that right here. Let me see what that is.
that's gonna have to be adjusted.
That'll be almost 3,300.
So we're basically $100 short on that, but we might be able to absorb that in this division, so we'll leave it at 3,200. Because the division,
Okay.
go ahead, Patty.
Oh, yes, that sounds good. We should be able to absorb it.
Yeah, so the nice thing about working in the divisions and as a budget as a whole, if we outspend a division that is low at the time may be able to absorb some of that additional cost. So, the dynamic ability of our budgetary process and how we use our funds is very advantageous, because if we would outspend a division because we had over-exhausting costs within this division through these different line items, and I wasn't able to utilize other divisions that are low or coming in under what we projected for them to be spending, we would have to shut down that division. So that wouldn't be a good process for operational effectiveness. Communication the tower contract is with Whidbey. Again, we have communication equipment on top of Whidbey's tower. We have our Fire 1 radio antenna, our Fire 2 radio up there as well. I'm working with an agreement with Whatcom County Sheriff's Office that our haulback is going to be on their dish. So that's going to cost us about $8,000 to get that put over to them, but that's going to be a much more robust system than we have right now. They have like I want to say like a 40-inch dish up there. We have like a 14-inch. So sometimes our backhaul, our backhaul is not as strong as it needs to be, and having them maintain that system then and keep that up and running and make it better, improve it in the future and stuff like that is just going to be a benefit for our emergency services communication within this agency. And that'll be the 8,000 will, it'll have to come out of most likely capital too, because it's equipment that they're having to put on within that system for us. Communication tower repair and maintenance. So every year we have Communications Northwest come up and they tune up our Fire 1 antenna and our Fire 2 antenna. So that will maintain, they'll still come up and do that because the backhaul will be on the dish. And that won't take out fire 1 or fire 2. We'll still have to have those antennas up there. The volunteer recognition is 5,500. We took that up 500 for the year. Travel and conferences, 5,500. Nothing else changed until we get down to 2012 Tahoe repair and maintenance. She's cost a lot of money. And this year I'm way over that 2,300. Patty, are you able to look to see where I'm at currently on the 5196?
Oh, yes. Give me just a minute.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of problems. My front differential went out this last year. That had to be repaired twice because Chevrolet dealership did not do it correctly the first time. And there was costs associated with both. My brakes have been causing me a problem, and I haven't been running hard or anything like that. It's just seems like they are unable to correctly do my brakes. Right now, I just got new pads and rotors and stuff, and I have the police department rotors and pads. They're heavy duty because when we do get up to speed running emergent, we have to come down and stop very, very quickly. And I've been squeaking ever since. So Friday morning, I have to take my Tahoe into Northwest Chevy on my way to work, drop it off, and get an Uber back up to work in order for them to take a look at my brakes again. My professional organizational dues for like the IFC, different things. So International Association of Fire Chiefs, Washington Fire Chiefs Association. Those are professional organizations that I belong to. And we were able to decrease that by 600. And I think if it's over that, we'll be able to absorb it, hopefully in this division. So this division came out to 225,686, which was an increase of 10,005 over the previous year. Patty's looking up 5196. Suppression division. So we have slated $75,000 for firefighter stipends for our volunteer firefighters when they come on call. Average call they get is $15 per call, and they get training stipends. They get miscellaneous duty stipends. They get weekend duty stipends. So all of that comes out at 75,000. Nothing else changed until we got down to the COVID testing. So we decreased COVID testing by 2,500. It's been a line item for us at $10,000 for the pandemic. And there's some concern that we may get another COVID spike. And that is something that we left $7,500 in there. Now we can take that down to 5,000. We can take that down to 3,500. We can do more workable way within that COVID line item if we want to help overcome the deficit that we're showing. Right now, I've just ordered 500 COVID tests for the community, and that's through a state program that those are being provided to us for free. So I should have those within the next week, and then I'll publicize that out for anybody. So that'll serve 250 people with one COVID test.
You know the longevity of these things.
I don't, and the state won't tell us.
No, they, yeah.
So otherwise, there's 2 COVID tests that are swabs, like we've been taking, and I don't have a choice within either one of them. They give me whatever they want to give me out of the 2 different brands of tests. And then, I mean, they could expire within 3 months, literally. We're not allowed to use any expired COVID tests anymore. So anything that's expired, people are supposed to throw away. We had to throw away all of our tests that were expired too. But I'll at least have 500 tests coming up that can serve 250 people with one test. And I can reorder. I could order 2,000 if I wanted to. But I'm just starting out with 500 just to see where the expiration is so we don't waste. Right?
The current ones that you can personally buy are dated into mid-24.
Okay. So one thing that will, depending on how the levy goes and all of that, even if the levy passes, I do want to remember to discuss 5216 and that line item to see where you guys want to take it. Again, we can take it down to $5,000. We can take it to 2,500 grand. But remember the COVID testing line also absorbs our face masks, our surgical masks, anything else like that, that if we have to start wearing masks again, then we'll be purchasing out of that, the COVID line item, versus out of our medical supply line item. So just to keep that flexible there. Marketplace, the grocery store, we took that up $1,600 to $12,000. Firefighter accountability, we left that at 800. Office operational supplies, left that. So the next change is foam. So all of our engines pump foam, and we've had to go to environmentally friendly foam. And that's PFAS free, which is the cancer causing forever chemicals. So we're utilizing foam now that has none of those, the PFAS or the PFAS in them. So it's environmentally safe. It's water safe. So when we have a boat fire, we put it into the water, obviously a lot of foam. So the foam is becoming more expensive. So we increase that line on them. I think we'll probably spend more than that on foam this coming up year, but hopefully absorb it within the division.
Chief, I have that number.
Yeah, so what did I spend on the Tahoe?
Well, I do have a question. There was one visa charge from last month to Northwest Chevrolet. Was that for your vehicle as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so 4,700.
So I spent $4,700 on this, so about $1,700. Well, yeah, $2,400 over. So I'm about double what I've been spending on that or what was projected. And again, those are things we can't, things happen, right? It's a 2012, has 160,000+ miles on it. So I mean, it's an older unit, but it's still, I'm still trying to hold it together. Fuel, we took that up $500. Hose, repair and maintenance and supplies. So buying new hose, all the hose that you see on the trucks, the components that go with those and stuff. So we left that $4,000. Next change is hose testing. So every year we have to get every foot of hose tested that we have, whether it's on the trucks or off the trucks. And we take it down to Ferndale when Ferndale gets theirs hose tested. And it's also ladder testing. So part of that, all of the ground ladders that we have are extension ladders. All of those have to be weight tested, looked at for cracks and everything else. And that's by a company that's allowed to do it. National Hose Testing is who we utilize. So every single year, every piece, every foot of attack hose, supply hose, 2.5 inch and 3/4, 5 inch, every piece of hose gets taken down south.
They don't come here to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question. You answered it for yourself. They will not come to Point Roberts. Yeah. And it's okay because we take down our engines. When we do that, we take down one engine. Usually people are able to ride out when they're down there. They can jump on District 7 apparatus and ride along with them when they go on calls. So our engineers usually take it down and don't have a problem with it. And we're able to get it done in 2 or 3 days, depending. Yeah. Fire extinguisher service. So even though we're fire departments, all of the fire extinguishers that we have on our rigs and within this building have to be tested and deemed safe by a company. And every year they have to come up and do that. Dispatch fees are going up. So every call that we're dispatched on, we get charged a fee for it. Out of Prospect. So that comes, I don't know if Whatcom, Patty, do you know if that's only Prospect or if that is Whatcom as well?
I'm sorry, Chief, I am not sure.
Yeah, so Whatcom is the police dispatch. And Whatcom is where all 911 phone calls go to. So if you dial 911, you go to a police dispatch center first. They go police, ambulance, or fire. And if you say ambulance or fire, they transfer you over to Prospect Dispatch, which is a separate dispatch center in Bellingham. One is for law enforcement, one is for fire. And then Prospect takes the call for your medical or your fire emergency. Right? So, but every time they click the button, we get charged a fee. So, the county is maybe helping us with that, paying our dispatch fees, but we still have a cost associated there. Pagers and radios, repair and maintenance and supplies. So, if anybody knows me, I always have a pager on my hip. Anything that goes wrong is we usually have some malfunctioning pagers every single year. Those have to go down for repair. We kept that at 1,500. We increased engine 5803 repair and maintenance, which is our 1994 apparatus. We increased its repair and maintenance by 500. Engine 5802, we decreased that by 500, so down to 6,000. Engine 5802 is our 1991. Engine 5803 is our 1994. Utility 58 van, that's a 1976. We kept that at 1,000. If you remember, we had like $5,000 worth of work on it last year, or the year before in 22. We took it down to Chevy and we got the engine all tuned up and everything else, and the oil changed. 1976 van, and I think it's only on its second set of tires. And we bought it off the showroom floor back in 1976. Wow. So quite something interesting there. Maybe it wasn't in 1976 when it probably was. John said it was. So engine 58, the mini pumper, that's our 2018 pumper. We increased that maintenance and repair by 3,000. Some of this also, those costs within those apparatus. Each apparatus, the pumpers, the engine 5803, engine 5802, and engine 58, we have to send off for pump testing every single year. So every year, their pump has to be certified to push the amount of water it was initially certified for. So all of our pumps are 1,500 gallons per minute. Every single one of those pumps have to be what's the word I'm looking? Recalibrated, but reapproved. That's not right. Recertified. Thank you. Recertified every single year. And that's a Washington State Rating Bureau issue that we have to weigh our engines every year for making sure that they're not overweight. And we have to get proper hose testing, ladder testing, and pump testing done on all of our engines every single year. So that's a Washington State Rating Bureau. Those are records that they look at. They will ask us, did you get your pump tested? And we have to show them the records that it passed and it's pumping what it's supposed to be pumping. So let's say they decertified our pump because one of our pumps went down and it only pumps 1,300 gallons per minute. Then that would go negative on us unless we were able to get it repaired by WSRB rating. It would be a negative for us. They would count us off for that because we have a pump now that is not certified at the rating capacity that it was designed for. So you have to, this is all stuff that you kind of need to understand where the costs are going. So if we have a pump go down, a pump going down is going to be tens of thousands of dollars, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to repair. So that's why we maintain everything every single year. And they repack the pump. They make sure everything's moving and that everything's operational.
Can all these things be done for a unit at one time, or it's split out every year?
We always send in right now over the last 2, 3, 4 years, I would have to say. Right now, our engines are going in for service. So they're getting their pump testing. Usually that happens in October, November. We've had engine 58 pump tested, engine 5802, engine 5803 pump tested. We're waiting for them to take engine 5802, which was our 1991. So the 1991 has not been certified for this year yet. So, and then we send them over to Canada Fire, which is ProFire in Abbotsford is where they go. So the nice thing about that is they come here, they come to the park at the top of the hill, Diefenbaker Park, and they pick up the engines there from us and they drive them back to Abbotsford. So we don't have to have somebody drive them all the way. Now, there's like $100 fee for that, but it's cost savings because of the time trying to find a volunteer to do it, maybe not being able to find a volunteer, having to reschedule, those types of things. So it helps us by having that done by them, sending a driver here. Hydrant maintenance. So we're responsible for hydrants maintenance on the outside of the hydrants. The water district is responsible for everything moving in under the ground of the hydrant system. PPE washer, dryer. So we have an extractor in there. We have a big silver washer that washes our bunker gear. So when we have a fire, it's a very large commercial made for washing structure gear. So it extracts all the contaminants out of our gear. It's different than a normal washer dryer. I'll just let you know that. But every year we have to have that maintained. It's coming up to its life at this point, and we're going to have to start looking at repairing that. because last time the gentleman came up, said they no longer are carrying parts for this machine. So that alone is going to probably be a $50,000+ purchase, is how much that washer will cost. So, because it has to be certified to do what we need it to do, and particularly to us. Yeah. So, if our SCBA refiller went down, if our cascade system went down, that'd probably be $120,000, $130,000 purchase. It's a commercial. It's only a washer. It's only a washer. So, and that washer will cost tens of thousands of dollars to replace.
And it's in this building?
Yeah, yeah. I'll show it to you after the meeting. You've probably never gone in there because it's the decon room and nobody wants to go into the decon room. So I'll show you. But that's probably going to have to be replaced. And if we're fortunate enough to get the levy, then that will have to be replaced. So disaster preparedness, $2,000 to work with our CERT teams and our prep teams and publish materials and things like that. Specialized emergency, the CERT program, which is our hazmat program out of the county. That's to have a hazmat tech on duty 24/7. Also to help them supply the CERT trailer and everything like that. That cost usually averages around $500 a year for us. So that division comes to $183,050. Suppression training, operational supplies. I took that up to $4,000 for suppression training to get training props and everything else for our firefighters to be able to utilize here before we have to go to somebody's home and actually perform. Books and publications kept that at $2,000. The other change is live fire training has gone up substantially. So we used to go down to Bellingham to Station 12 on Britton Loop. Average cost of our training down there was around $4,000 to $5,000 a year. That facility has been taken out indefinitely. They are not repairing the burn room anymore. They're not doing any burns. So these are live burns, meaning we start pallets on fire, stuff like that. We have realistic heat. We have realistic smoke. We have to do search and rescue procedures. We have to take our lines inside the structure. We have to put out the fire. These are things that we train on every single year. So we can be the best for our community when we do have a structure fire or a house fire, or have somebody, heaven forbid, that's still trapped inside of the structure that's still on fire when we arrive, and we have to go into a rescue mode. So this training, I can't tell you how valuable it is, but we are now going up to Canada to their training facility, and it's a massive facility. And last year, what's nice about it is that we can rent their SCBAs from them, so we don't have to take our own. And we can rent their SCBAs, and we can also rent gear from them. So if we didn't want to have to wash 30 sets of gear by the time we come back with our septic system and with our washer, because that's what it takes. We end up washing about 30 sets of gear because every single one of my firefighters goes through this training on a yearly basis. So going up there at the JIBC is where it's held at. They have other access. We are able to get cars, so we do our extrication training up there at the same time. Trying to get a car here and then have it hauled off is a disaster for our people. So our extrication equipment, we do our extrication practice, tear apart cars. Some of the public saw pictures of that posted on Facebook, and it's also on the levy flyer. But we have that training at the same day that we have our burn training, and we do it over 2 days. And they provide the staff, so we have to pay for the staff, we have to pay for their engine and everything else. Yeah. So Professional Recruit Academy, $8,000 only sends 2 firefighters to school. It's $4,000, and that's cheap. JIBC is around 16 grand, I believe. It's in the teens at this point, if not more, for firefighters, for somebody to pay for them to be trained up at the JIBC. So I will send our people to Texas, and they do all their didactic online, and then they have to go to Texas for 2 weeks and do all their practical, and then they test out at the national and international levels down in Texas. So, but that only sends 2 firefighters. So if I have 2 individuals out of this community that want to go to fire school, want to be a firefighter, want to start volunteering for this agency, that would only cover 2 people. go. Hazmat. So again, hazmat is our buoys that we put out in the water and our absorbent pads and everything else. The kitty litter that we have for oil leaks, radiator leaks, anything that's a spill on the highway that comes out of that hazmat line. Blue Card Command System is the command system that we utilize here, and we train our people so they can be the best possible in command decisions when they have to get on the scene of a structure fire. And that command system is a platform online, has continuing education and also college credit benefit for our people. Travel expenses, going to conferences, those types of things, sending firefighters to conferences. We increased that by 1,500 because of the expense of plane tickets and the expense of the conferences and everything going up. Registration and tuition, any type of classes that they would like to take over the year. I try to help them with the costs. I may not be able to cover the entire cost, but I like to help them, try to help pay for some of the outside training that they would like to take for professional development. Maintenance division, miscellaneous small tools and equipment. We left that at 1,000. We increased communications, cable TV, 100. We increased electric station 1 to 10,000. So we did that by 200. Generator costs. We have a big generator in the back of the station, which is coming of age as well. It's a diesel generator. It's still doing okay. That's something that we had to increase by 200 because Lynn Fuel, you guys might know Lynn Fuel out of the county, they come up and provide the fuel for that, refuel it when we need it. We're looking at possibly having a unleaded tank here and a diesel tank here that's on site, maybe 250 to 500 gallons a piece. If we have that emergency and none of the fuel stations are working, even the ones with the backup pumps here in Point Roberts, that we have fuel on site that we can keep our rigs running and traveling on the road with. Garbage, we increased by 100 because of the cost and what we've looked at this year. We'll be right there, 2,000 to 2,100. So that division is 32,000. It went up by 600. Volunteer or EMS division. So these are our EMTs, our paramedics, our advanced EMTs as well. We have a budget line for their stipends of $83,000. So between the two, we have about $160,000 in volunteer stipends that we're putting out roughly on a yearly basis.
One question, in the maintenance area.
Yeah.
Do you use propane?
We do. Yeah. So we have small propane cylinders that we have, but
Yeah, so you don't keep a big tank.
no, we don't have like a 500-gallon tank here on site or anything like that. No. Medical supplies and equipment, I left that at 17,000. Batteries for our AEDs, anything like that, 500. Oxygen, because we have our own oxygen cylinders here. We refill our own oxygen tanks here. So we have the big oxygen tanks that we refill our small ones on. That averages about $600 a year. 858 is our red ambulance. We took that up to 5,000 because it's getting old. And we've had to do a lot of repair on the engine on it over the last few years. We spent some money, so we had to adjust that line by 2,250 to help try to cover that and not go over divisional areas. 85802 is the white ambulance. That has stayed the same because it's a second out ambulance. I put in for a grant this year. I did not get it. But that ambulance, to replace that ambulance, will be around $250,000 to $300,000 to replace an ambulance. And that's, people need to understand, the cost. And that is the current style that we have and everything else, and the compartmentation within that ambulance to hold the supplies that we need held for our community.
You have another chance to try for it.
Yeah, so we didn't get our radio grant this year. So that's a $350,000, $360,000 cost to replace all of our aged out hand radios, mobile radios in our rigs, our base station radio here. And that grant, I'll replace that grant. I am likely to replace the ambulance grant too, to have assistance with that through fire grants. It's about a $6,000 cost to us to have them assist us with both of those grants.
How would you replace that grant for the ambulance? You say you were gonna replace the grant?
I'll
Reapply.
reapply.
Okay,
I'll reapply that grant.
and you don't see the issue.
And those grants will be placed before the new year, I believe. I think the new AFG cycle will be opening up
They have a better.
in November.
In terms of getting the grant.
No, because our radios are out of service and that ambulance is out of date.
Yeah.
It's over 30 years old. It's a 1991 as well. And we still didn't get the grant.
Well, see, so that's
No,
why.
So again, grants aren't guaranteed.
no.
Even when you can show the need,
Yeah.
right? You're still not guaranteed to get it from the feds, right? I got $25,000 to put on another Mayday class, which is a firefighter survival class. But they didn't give me the 350 some $1,000 I wanted for the radios. But they gave me $25,000 to put on another safety Mayday class. Yeah, Battalion 58. So community CP 58 is the community paramedic 58, and that's going to be based off of the levy. That'll be the vehicle that's utilized to go down and pick up people that we've taken to the hospital or that have gone to the hospital to return them home, so their loved ones don't have to worry about them getting back home. That's another program that will go into effect if the levy passes. No ambulance billing and a return home program to pick people up at the hospital that have had to go down for medical emergencies. Yeah. So Battalion 58 repair and maintenance. So the truck is on its last legs. And right now it doesn't start. We have an electrical ghost that the Dodge dealership has not been able to track down. We have consistent draw on our batteries. It is not turning over. We have a steering problem that they can't overcome either. We have about 6 inches of play in our steering wheel on that truck, just to let you know. Yeah, and that's that. Okay, let's bring it down half, 3 to 4 inches of play in the steering wheel before the wheels turn.
Chase it down and take short inside the Dodge.
And the Dodge is a 1990, or the Dodge is a 2001.
Because good luck on finding it.
So it's going to be 23 years old. And that truck will have to be replaced. That is our plow for the winter for the parking lot. And if we can't overcome that by sending it, I'll try to send it to a mechanic outside of the Dodge dealership, because we've had it there 2 or 3 times and they've done nothing but charged us for it. So now I think I'm going to take some advice from our internal people that trust their mechanics to maybe do a better job, because it is an older rig and we might be able to get it up and running for the winter. But depending on the levy come next year, and even if the levy doesn't pass, we're probably going to have to look at replacing that truck.
Well, let me know if you need to come in, because I got a guy in Ferdale.
Yeah, so, but Battalion 58, $3,000 may or may not cover. But sorry, Battalion 58 is Chief's Shields car, so that's the new one. Brush 58, wherever that one. Where did Brush 58 go? Did I pass that? Brush 58 is the.
There it is up. Or is that U58?
That's U58. Patty, do you know where Brush 58 is? There it is.
There it is.
So Brush 58 is the one thing that I was the pickup truck that I was speaking of. I'm sorry on that. But Battalion 58 is Chief Shields' car. The Brush, the reason why I got that mistaken is the Brush used to be known as Battalion. So sorry, I got off track there a little bit. I apologize to everyone. But Battalion 58 is John's car. It's $3,000 to maintain that. That's a 2015 Ford Explorer. ATV is our trail ATV. We look at about $1,000. We're gonna have to take that in, get the oil changed in it, and get the spark plugs changed, and make sure everything's copacetic on that. The defib maintenance contract has gone up considerably. So we own everything. We are a debt-free agency. And so we have no debt payments to anyone. And we own all of our AEDs, which have graciously been able to be purchased outright from us or been supplied through private grants to this agency. But we have to maintain it. So every year, all of our AEDs, our small AEDs, our LifePak 15s, the big cardiac monitors you see us have, all of those have to be maintained by the manufacturer, which is Stryker, Medtronic, Physio Control. They come up here. We don't have to do anything. They come up here and he sits here basically for 12 hours and reprograms, updates the interior software and everything else, replaces any batteries, replaces any screens, all of those things that go along with repair and maintenance on that. But that contract has become more expensive. So this budget came to $120,000. So we had about a $5,000 increase to that additional budget. EMS training supplies and equipment kept that. The only changes we have in this is EMS Connect, which is our continuing education platform. That's something we're gonna have to add a line item. Yeah, we're gonna have to add a line item in here, Patty, for EMS.
Okay,
And that's gonna have to be emergency networking. And that's our reporting platform for EPCRs and infers. So we used to have emergency reporting in here, but I don't know where that went. So we're gonna have to add a line. So look back in one of the older budgets and there you should see emergency networking or emergency reporting.
okay, and this new one, you'd like it to say read emergency networking
Yeah, emergency networking.
under, and you want that under the EMS training division?
Or EMS division.
Okay,
It's fine.
okay,
And we're gonna have to put a couple grand in that. So so it looks like the COVID lines have to be utilized a little bit more. We'll have to reduce the COVID line and to make up for. I'll have to see what the fee is going to be for this year, but it's going to be a couple grand, I'm assuming. And that's our federal reporting system for all of our medical reports and our fire reports. So,
okay.
yeah. We might have like the Board of Volunteer Firefighters. We don't have a line item for that either in here. And the Board of Volunteer Firefighters is the state agency that covers all of the insurance for our volunteers. We pay $30 a year for full coverage. So if they have a $10,000 surgery because they were injured, it costs us $30 for that person.
So, most.
Well, they are covered under the physicals.
Yeah, but the Board of Volunteer Firefighters covers any injury.
Yes,
So they cover disability and injury. So we've had a couple of firefighters. We've had a firefighter that took out his knee, tore his ACL, got surgery down in Bellingham. All of that is reimbursed, or we have to pay up front, but it's reimbursed to us. And we had a firefighter in the past fracture his elbow because he fell, and they covered that as well. So it's a good deal. If they're allowable to be paid for their pension, so volunteers actually get a pension after 9 or 10 years of service, that's $30 a year too. So a volunteer could cost us $60 a year if I paid both to the Board of Volunteer Firefighters. But usually I don't pay any type of pension on the Canadians. I just pay that on the Americans that we have. And I think we now have 11 that'll be paid for this next year. But everybody gets disability. So we have 43 people, everybody gets disability. So EMS conferences, traveling to increase our medical knowledge, see what's going on around the nation, travel expenses and stuff. So we increased the EMS conferences, $1,000. So the entire budget, operational budget, as was explained in the initial chart that I had up, it comes to $693,491. And that's a $25,000 increase over last year. And I explained the best I could the increases that we have. And if there's any further questions, please reach out to me. But that puts us into a deficit of $11,000, almost $12,000. So, and I think the 660, yeah, the 693, because so the 693 is what our operational divisions come up to, and the budget that we have to spend is only 681,000. So that's where we get the 11,000, almost $12,000 deficit. So we're in a waiting pattern at this point. We have to add a couple line items in here. If you're okay with it, I'll probably just start deducting out from the COVID line to try to keep us at par with the budget. So I'll probably reduce the COVID line down to 3, 4, 5,000, depending on what I need to put into line items that we're going to be adding. And then on Friday, again, if the levy does or does not pass, Patty and I'll get back together most likely on the 9th, just to finalize this for presentation at Friday's meeting for approval. And if it does pass, then we'll bring you another budget for approval with different lines and what will be going into capital reserve with the new funds to show you. So that is my presentation of the budget. I'm happy to answer any questions or add any information to anything that I didn't fully explain. If any of you have any questions, anybody online have any questions? Commissioner Harper, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Linda, Patty?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Chief.
Same here. Thank you.
Patty, did I miss anything that you would like to expand on or correct?
No.
Okay. We'll also have the resolutions ready for the 10th. The resolutions, there's one resolution, it'll be 2302 and 2303 will be the resolutions. And Patty, would you explain the resolutions for me, please?
Oh, certainly. Yes. Resolution 23-02 will allow us to take the 1% increase in tax revenue for 2024. Should the levy lift pass, we will not need that resolution. If it does not pass, then we will approve it by board approval as usual. And resolution 23-03 accepts Exhibit A being the 2024 budget and also certifies the 2024 levy, allowing the county to deposit funds into our account based on our behalf.
And those resolutions are the same every single year. The numbers change. So it's what we've always done in the past. There's not something new. Hi, Rebecca. So Rebecca Goodwin, it's good to see you, Rebecca, on the meeting. So if
Sorry, I
there's
was on mute. Sorry.
you're
Hi.
you're late again, Rebecca. You're late again. So
I know, but I heard a good amount of your presentation and I really appreciate the opportunity to understand it. Thank you.
no, that's okay. That's okay. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So if nobody has any questions, then I'll leave it up to the commissioners what you would like to do.
So we need to authorize our acceptance of the budget.
No, not today. So that's done on Friday. This was just a presentation to see if you guys wanted anything moved around. If you didn't like something, you would like it changed. But it's just a general presentation of our divisional budget that we've had for years and just updating the numbers compared to and looking at what we've spent in 2023 and trying to adjust for 2024.
Pat, do you have any concerns?
No.
Okay. Do you have any concerns?
No.
So on Friday is going to be the big day where we will present, depending on which way the levy goes. Hopefully we'll know by Friday. Hopefully it's not close. In passing, hopefully it does pass. But if the county still has not called it as a pass, or they're waiting, thinking that, okay, if there's a 10 10-point difference, right? 10-vote difference. They might wait to see if they have other ballots coming in. I don't know if the commission would want to extend the meeting past the 10th to the next, to either Saturday, Sunday, or that next Monday. So we have a final ruling on the levy. I'm assuming because of how many people we have vote here on average that we will know by the 10th
Yeah.
or by the 9th.
Depends on, yeah.
Yeah, it depends, but
Take a little-
we're providing basically the 8th and the 9th. If Patty and I have to get together late on the 9th, after they do their counting at 5 o'clock on the 9th, to see if they've called to see if we're in a comfortable location of passing, if that's the way the direction is going, then we will get that together for the 10th. We will get everything ready for the 10th. Patty, I'm speaking for you, but are you okay with that?
Absolutely, Chief. Yes.
Okay, I'm just double checking.
Yes. Thanks.
50 plus 1.
It's a 51, 50 plus 1.
50 plus 1. It's a 50% pass. 50 plus 1.
There's already a lot of people that have voted.
Yeah. So. Okay. All right, Linda, do you have anything to finalize? And no? Okay, I think be prepared for a long meeting on Friday. Okay, just we'll be reviewing everything again. Any changes that had to be made depending on the levy and passing or not passing. And we'll be reviewing all those. I'll have to review the resolutions as well. And so on Friday, you'll have to approve the budget either way with the increases or not, right? You'll have to approve the budget and then the 2 resolutions. You'll have to approve those as well. And then the resolutions go to the county. And Patty and Linda get all that figured out and send it down to the county so they can approve it at the next or at the December council meeting. Is that correct? Or will it be the November?
I believe it's at November, towards the latter part of November. That's
Yeah.
why we need to have it in. Preferably by the end of that 3rd week or the beginning of that 3rd week. So we'll be right on schedule.
Yeah. So. Okay.
All right.
So.
I would entertain a motion.
I'm just here for the beer and peas. I'm here for the chips. For the day.
I have a motion to adjourn at 5:15 PM. And
I second it.
okay,
There's a second.
we're adjourned.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank
Chief.
you, guys.
Good job, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you.
Thanks for coming.
Take
Rebecca.
care. We'll see you next Friday.
All right. Bye.
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 Got two
See
left.
you.